Hello everyone, welcome to my After First review, where I review a game after at least one playthrough of it to give you my perspective on whether the game is worthy of your time or not. Although the format requires me to at least complete the game once, I do proceed playing more of it after the ending just to evaluate the replay values, so that I can inform you more about the game beyond the very first playthrough. Some games are meant to be replayed several times and some benefit from it. I just won't go into full detail on every aspect like my other in-depth reviews. As for Pyre, it is a game that benefits from several playthroughs for reasons I won't spoil in this video. With that being said, I'll review the game with minimum spoilers, so proceed with cautions. Pyre is the third game from Supergiant Games, a rather small indie dev team that already has quite a reputation due to the success from both of their previous games, Bastion and Transistor. Both games were praised on their stunning art style and sounds, and Pyre follows suit, perhaps better than before. The aesthetic is no doubt from Supergiant Games. It leaves a very strong impression upon just glancing on it, using beautiful color combination to create something reminiscing of stained glass art but less structured. Throughout the game, the visuals never ever stop to impress. It is the sort of aesthetic that can bridge the test of time easily. If you like what you have been looking so far, I am positive you will be in awe later on in the game. Every frames of it are worthy of a space on your wall. The beginning of the game have you stumble across a wagon while you are isolated in Downside, a place where those who committed crimes and such were sent to. 3 travelers who bear the same status as yours reach out to you. Hedwin, the head of the group, offered to help. In return, he asked whether you are able to read one of the books they possessed. Turns out you are able to decipher the content of the book. In a world where literacy is considered blasphemy, you are rare and prove useful on their journey. The book reveals that freedom awaits to those who prevail the rights, designed by the 8 scribes. Following the stars and with hope to return back to the Commonwealth, your journey with Hedwin, Jodariel and Rookie of the Night Wings begins as you become the leader of the group. The light RPG elements of the game comes from the dialogue options during character interactions and matters of the journey itself. Writing is consistently great both in dialogues and text. Other than the music and visuals, another staple of their games came from the performance of a narrator who recites along players' action in the game. The narrator way less this time around compared to their previous titles, which is commendable. In both Bastion and Transistor, the narrator has a stronger presence throughout the entire game. In Pyre, however, the narration only happens in the rites, as the performer now plays the role of a mysterious guidance called the Voice. Rest assured, the performance by him is still splendid, but it is a breath of fresh air putting their staple narrator a little in the back.
Reader, I thought for sure the stars would have eluded you by now. Yet here you are, somehow, upon the nest of Trieste. And you've swelled the ranks of your triumvirate not merely with another, but with 2. One from the Pyre heart, no less, and one who seeks the favor of the adversaries whom you'll imminently face. They are the essence, winged terrors, as you soon shall see. Can your longing for freedom match their hatred for the vibrant country that was once your home?
Due to that, the overall narration of the game will have you to read through instead of fetching it into your ears. However, over the highlighted text allows you to briefly get some context of the subject in discuss, just enough for you to understand what it is. This little feature totally benefits the heavily constructed, lore-rich world such as one of Pyre, making it surprisingly useful for us players. The members of Night Wings were given more spotlights as well due to the lesser presence of the narrator. You can say Pyre is not as lonely of a game compared to their previous titles. The rites is where the quote-unquote battles happen in Pyre. Players are to choose 3 characters out from a roster to face your adversaries, exiled just like you and the others. The objective is simple. Bring the Celestial Orb on the field into your enemy's Pyre, extinguish it in order to win. While the face value may seem like a sports game of some sort such as basketball, it has much more to offer than just that. Each character has an aura underneath where they stand, in which the size is determined by presence, one of the 4 attributes that differentiate character performances in the rites. Players have to create a team with synergy best tuned to their playstyle, and utilizing the aura to banish your enemies or defend your standings is a huge factor on the result of the match. Characters who use the orb will be stripped away from their aura, making advancement always risky and intense. On top of that, you can only control one character at a time, while the other stands idly when the orb is passed. Formation and reaction are important as well due to this limitation, making the rides much more intense than it seems on the screen. There are certainly depths waiting for you to discover in the combat, often involves juking and planning a step forward. With that, you have an interesting push and pull combat system which is very unique to Pyre. Sometimes due to circumstances, some of the members might refuse or discourage to participate in the ritual, forcing players to mix up their party members, toss them out of the comfort zone and adapt to the situation. The game is smart on throwing in curveballs and surprises onto the usual situations to a point where it is hard to predict what will happen next. For the sake of not ruining your experience, I will not speak further than this. The core gameplay loop is the rides itself, but players will not get into action back to back throughout the journey. That said, there are a lot to offer in between destinations to keep you engaged. You are given choices on which route to traverse along the way. Breaks in between called vocation gives you a chance to strengthen the members or gather items out in the lands. Occasionally, you'll stumble upon events like meeting a new companion or cursing your adversaries with the help of a spirit and so on. It is an eventful journey with choices and surprises other than just the beautiful scenery. The cast of the Night Wings are never short of diverse. Each and every one of your companions are enticing in their own ways, both mechanically and narratively. They have their very own skill tree based on their races. Though some skills are passives, the others from the selection can change how they are handled in the rides drastically. Pairing with a talisman slot, you have a degree of customization on each and every one of them. Story-wise, they are very well written characters as well. The dialogues from each and every one of them are brimming with characteristics. Sooner or later, you'll grow to love each and every one of them as you eagerly want to learn more of their backstories and relationships not only between them but with other survivors in the downside. The game wants you to be attached to your fellow companions. Their belongings decorate the down interior of the wagon. Hover on them and you'll see a line of flavor text describing what they are up to at the moment. This little feature might be small, but it stuck with me throughout the journey. A line of words is enough for my brain to fill in the blanks and imagine them in action. And of course with that, the game delivers the characters closer to the players. I want to take a moment and point out again just how well written the game is. Given how text heavy the game can be, if you care much about lore and backstories, I have yet to feel exhausted from reading. It is very enjoyable to learn about the characters' motives and beliefs through their conversations. Lore-wise, reading through whimsical text paired with some beautiful imagery never gets old thanks to the beautifully designed Book of Rites itself. Some of the best writings I have experienced in a game. Upon losing a ride, players will not be greeted by a game over screen and be given another chance. Rather, the journey presses on with or without your liking, making each defeat leaves a sour taste in your mouth. It is clear that the game wants us to live with the failure, tying into the theme of the game naturally. Pyre consistently does well in terms of tying together the mechanics with the theme. The rites and the aura, for example, are not mere tools to justify the combat. They have meanings within them as well.
The aura is your wrongdoing. Accept it as a part of you.
Given how unique the concept is, able to tie things together is not easy. I am impressed by its commitment with the theme. Difficulty levels can be tuned in-game at any moment. Though I first found the harder settings to be lackluster, it proves me wrong later on in the game. I suggest you to at least try it out in a few rides to see if you can handle it. Furthermore, you can learn some advanced techniques from the harder AI as they make use of it against you. They will help you to realize the depth lies within the system. However, the AI on the heightened level sometimes read the player's move too accurately and their execution can be flawless at times. It frustrates me quite a bit in the long run. On top of the difficulty setting, the self-imposed style difficulty tuning from Bastion makes a return in Pyre. To those who are unfamiliar, you can freely activate or deactivate buffs on your enemies before the combat begins, making them harder to deal with and of course in return gives you more XPs upon beating them. You can impose these buffs on your own discretion, so no pressure. Although you can restart the match in the pause menu, I suggest you to live with the failure if you happen to lose a ride. This will add tension to each and every encounter with the other triumvirate. I wish they'll stick with the gun and never let players to restart a ride just to fit with the theme of the game. But seeing what the AI can do sometimes, I understand they do not want to upset players too much over the AI system. A choice is a choice. The biggest letdown of the game is the lack of online multiplayer mode, but local versus mode is offered. The combat system is definitely complex enough to ensure longevity of the game if the game has online multiplayer support. I've noticed the potential after just a few rounds of raids, so when I found out there's no one I can pit my skill against, I can't help but feel disappointed. The AI is challenging as I say, but nothing beats the feeling of playing against another player, and the depth of the combat system offered here is definitely worth learning and playing against one another. It is no doubt the biggest letdown for me, but if you have someone beside you who is willing to learn how the raids work, it can be a time sink. If you are looking for a game that can stimulate your senses, Pyre is one that can deliver. With beautiful visuals and music, unique gameplay, well-written characters, story, and the commitment with its theme, Pyre shines in every aspect as a game, making it hard to ignore. It is safe to say that Supergiant Games delivers yet again. It is hard to review such a game because, like the journey itself, your expectation of events keeps being fondled. As the story presses on, more and more unveils before you, and that is the very reason why I am restraining myself from spoiling the experience for you. I'm afraid that the After First format may not do this game justice, but I really want to recommend this game to anyone who wants to experience something special, something out of the ordinary. Pyre is a beautiful journey worth embarking, but remember to move on when you lost yourself from smelling the roses along the way.
And on its prow, forsaken by the tides. In death she leaves her stain on the place. The tempest never dies. Her final throes and shivers and shakes 1,000 years gone by.